Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to this new content. So today I'm dealing with swaps. Yes, I'm dealing with swaps, but I'm going to show you something practical and hands-on. Today, we're actually going to take a closer look at a swap directly from the command line using a non-custodial tool, so you can get a real sense of what actually happens behind the scenes and what it truly means when we talk about a non-custodial swap. So, as we know, it's possible to do swaps with a variety of different tools, right? There are several options out there. There are various tools available, tools that are managed by external companies, tools that are managed by external swap facilities, and there are also non-custodial tools specifically designed for performing swaps. Now let's take a closer look at what this is all about and quickly refresh our understanding of what a swap actually is, as well as what we can use it for in different scenarios. Before we continue, I'd like to gently remind you that on this channel we provide valuable information, in-depth analysis, and content about Bitcoin, the Lightning Network, Nostr, and so on. All of this is absolutely offered for free on a regular and consistent basis, and you're all invited to subscribe if you're interested in these topics. And of course, make sure to turn on notifications so you don't miss out whenever I release new value-added content. So let's get back to today. We've said that we're interested in swaps. What use do we have for doing a swap in the context of Bitcoin, and what does it mean? Basically, what we can do in this scenario is, for example, send an on-chain Bitcoin transaction, which is a transaction recorded directly on the Bitcoin blockchain, and in return receive, for instance, a Lightning transaction of the same value. This Lightning transaction would be sent to an invoice that we generate specifically for this purpose, allowing us to efficiently move value between the two networks. This is commonly done, and it can be done with various tools. You can also do the opposite. You can pay for something with the Lightning Network and receive an on-chain transaction as a result. The value is the same, minus the fees for the operation. The fees, of course, are partly due to the costs of the network costs of the transaction. For example, if we make an on-chain transaction, there will be a minor fee to carry out this transaction. And then there are, of course, the service fees for making this type of operation available. So these are basically the fees involved. Clearly, there are some swaps that have a higher cost because, for example, they quite obviously involve higher network transaction fees, and there are other types of swaps that, on the other hand, have lower costs. For example, if we perform a swap from Bitcoin on-chain to Lightning, we will incur certain costs because on-chain Bitcoin transactions are involved. If we do a swap, for example, for instance, from a Liquid transaction to the Lightning Network, we will have much lower costs because we know that on Liquid the transaction fees for each transaction are extremely low. Thanks to this, in fact, Liquid is used for many cool and innovative things in the cryptocurrency space. For example, it is possible to use Liquid to help balance Lightning Network channels on a node, which can improve efficiency and flexibility for users. This is quite an interesting and practical use of Liquid technology, showing how versatile and useful it can be in real-world applications. So today we're talking about Boltz.exchange, which is a non-custodial service specifically for doing this type of swap. It's a unique service precisely because it's non-custodial. In some cases, it can have higher costs and it requires a bit of additional skill. But today, we're not going to do this from the web, as you might expect, because of course there is a web interface available for this purpose. However, instead of using the web interface, we're going to take a different approach and look at this from a purely operational point of view, specifically at the command line, using a dedicated client application that they've released for Linux, which is called Boltz Client. I personally find it really useful for certain operations because it truly gives you total unrestricted control over your funds, allowing you to manage everything directly and efficiently without relying on a graphical interface or third-party tools. So today we're going to take a look at it in action, also to see how a swap works. So don't worry if you don't quite understand how I'm actually performing this swap, but let's take a look at what it is, what it involves, and how it actually works in practice. These are interesting things, even if maybe you don't have all the tools on hand to try it yourself, but let's see. let's get some hands-on experience with how a swap actually works in practice, and we'll do it using a non-custodial tool like Boltz. So to do this, of course, I suggest that you also go and read alongside this video, if you want, an article I published on massmusk.org, specifically an article about installing the Boltz client, because if for any reason you feel like trying out this kind of installation, you can do it. In my opinion, it's not even that complicated, and it's very, very instructive. In this article that I strongly suggest you read, you'll find all the comprehensive and detailed information about it, so you can actually go ahead and thoroughly and carefully carry out this installation step by step. So as we can clearly see, it's actually running right now by using the command docker compose ps. So if you've read through this article, you'll see exactly how we installed it step by step using Docker, which is, all things considered, a fairly straightforward and simple installation process overall. As you can see, the daemon is running and we can use our bot client without any issues. Now what we're going to do is run the command without any parameters. This will show us all the various subcommands we can use, so it's very useful and very explanatory. So let's take a moment to figure out what we want to do. Today we want to try out a swap between, let's say, a certain amount of on-chain Bitcoin and the Liquid network. Essentially, our goal is to transfer some Bitcoin from the main Bitcoin blockchain, which is also known as on-chain, over to Liquid. This means moving funds from the original Bitcoin chain to the Liquid sidechain, which is designed to work alongside Bitcoin. And why do we want to do this? Well, that's what we're going to explore. Because we want to gradually accumulate, let's say, these amounts in a Liquid wallet over a period of time, so that at a later point we can make a single transaction to swap them back, that is from Liquid to on-chain Bitcoin. That's what we want to do. To do this, we've created local wallets, and that's why I mentioned earlier that we're using a non-custodial tool. What does that mean? Well, it means that on this machine right here, I have actually created local wallets locally. So I created an on-chain Bitcoin wallet as well as a Liquid wallet. So I created these two wallets locally, and I can manage them using the Boltz CLI. So how do I see this in practice? I simply run this command right here. As you can see, wait, let me clear the screen first to make things easier to follow. I run this command, which lets me manage the local wallets very easily and efficiently, giving me a clear view of everything. So what I want to do now, first of all, is to check the balances of my wallets. So in this case, I've already created them, but as you've seen, it's very easy to create a new wallet. As you can see here, the command is really simple, but I've already done it and basically created two wallets. So there's the first wallet, let's say the default one, which is, as we discussed earlier on, essentially the wallet related to the Lightning operations that are actually performed on the node to which it's connected. And here we can see the two wallets that I created as part of this process. The first one is a Liquid wallet where we currently have this balance available, which you can see displayed here. The second is an on-chain wallet. So here, as you can see, we also have the on-chain wallet, which is separate from the Liquid wallet and maintains its own balance. So these are what are known as self-custodial wallets, meaning that I personally have the keys to these wallets, so I am able to manage them independently and directly myself, without relying on any third party or external service. There's absolutely no problem at all doing this. And another thing I can do if I want is I can take the keys, that is the cryptographic secret for both of these wallets, and open them externally on other compatible wallet software. So, for example, I can take the on-chain wallet data and go to Electrum and, let's say, view the transactions there, just as I can do the same thing with Liquid using Green, for example. So it's extremely flexible, highly usable, and gives me a lot of control and options. Now, what I want to do here is basically take 1 million S8 and then swap them from the Bitcoin on-chain wallet over to Liquid. So first of all, I make sure that I have the funds available. And as you can see right here, the funds are basically there ready to be used. And so let's take a moment to carefully consider what command I should use in this particular case. In this situation, I need to use a command that is specifically related to creating a swap operation. So as you can see here on the screen, the command is create chain swap. You can see the create chain swap command displayed right here. And this is the command that will allow us to initiate the swap process as needed. Why chain swap? Because in fact, it's a chain type swap, since we're obviously sending a Bitcoin on-chain transaction, which means a transaction that is directly recorded on the Bitcoin blockchain, and receiving a Bitcoin Liquid transaction, which is also on-chain, of course, as it is written to the Liquid sidechain's blockchain. If we use the help for this command, it shows me that it even shows me some helpful examples, right? For instance, I can do a swap from one internal wallet to another internal wallet, from an internal wallet to an external address, or from an external address to an internal wallet, all within the same system. So there are all these extremely flexible possibilities, and I can also see if there are swaps that are in progress or that I have completed. Here, as you can see, wait, let me show you a bit better. So as you can see here, it clearly shows me all the swaps I've done so far, and it also shows me exactly what type of swaps they are in detail. They are chain swaps like the one I want to do today, but there can also be submarine swaps, which are very interesting. Those are the ones that involve swapping from an on-chain transaction to a Lightning Network transaction. Today we're going to do a chain type swap, which is a specific kind of transaction where assets are exchanged in a particular sequence. Specifically, we're going to perform this kind of swap to show you exactly how the process works from start to finish. So let's take a look at the full command. Here I'm going to use the client create chain swap --JSON because I don't want it to be interactive. I want a JSON response. And from the internal wallet Denali HD06 to the internal Liquid wallet for how much? For 1 million sats. So this particular command is not interactive at all. It's actually an all-in-one operation, which means that I just need to run it once and everything will be handled automatically for me. Let's try running it. Here we go. Incredibly powerful. My swap is launched instantly right before our eyes with no delay at all. Now let's go examine it to see exactly what happened after the swap was created. We're going to take a closer look at this swap by using the command list swaps, which will show us the details of the swap and help us understand the results. Here it is. As you can see, my transaction is currently in the mempool. Yes, it's in the mempool. So everything's fine. Everything's absolutely fine. As you can see, the swap in question is this one right here, which you can see as pending, just waiting to be confirmed. You can also see it summarizes the amount, the total amount. So I'm sending 1 million sats. It shows me the network fee, and it shows me when it was created. So right now, there are these 1869 sats, which stands for Satoshis, the smallest unit of Bitcoin. I can get more information about this swap transaction simply by following this step and doing this. And so here I see several very, very interesting pieces of information. Naturally, the information I have in this particular part of the payload actually concerns the outgoing transaction data, while here we see the incoming transaction, that is the one for the completed swap. So now basically what needs to happen next, essentially, what needs to happen here is simply that the on-chain transaction gets confirmed. I can actually check that on an Explorer, of course. When the transaction is confirmed, a new on-chain transaction will be executed immediately. A transaction that, in this particular case, is a Liquid transaction to my local wallet. So what I can also do now is go explore the wallets and take a look at the resulting balances just to see the outcome. As you can see, the situation has changed compared to before. In this particular case, as you can clearly see, I have a situation where right here in the on-chain wallet, I currently have an unconfirmed amount, as you can see here, which actually directly corresponds to my on-chain transaction that I sent earlier, minus the network fees. So at this particular moment in time, I'm waiting for this unconfirmed balance to eventually become confirmed. At this particular point in time, right here in this specific area, so in the other wallet, I will actually see a noticeable increase in the unconfirmed amount when the liquid transaction is being carried out. And this will continue until the liquid transaction is also fully confirmed. So basically what I did was, all in all, as you saw, quite simple and straightforward. I performed a swap between two wallets that are local. So this is something you can do with the local client, not with the web version, but with the local client. You can, in fact, carry out the swap between these two local wallets that you generated yourself simply with a command. So just imagine for a moment the incredible versatility and flexibility of this feature, because you could, for example, easily create your own custom script, put it in the cron scheduler, that is, set it up to run automatically at specific times on your machine, and for instance, have Bitcoin swapped every so often to another address or perhaps to a local wallet depending on your needs. The possibilities are quite broad and can be tailored to your particular requirements. For example, you could set up a scheduled swap that automatically transfers, say, a savings plan you receive on a specific wallet to a liquid wallet, so you gradually accumulate it under liquid over a period of time, and then at a certain point transfer it back on-chain to Bitcoin by doing a reverse swap for an amount that is exactly equal to the total sum of all the amounts you initially swapped in the first place. So really, the only real limit here, honestly, is your imagination. These things might seem complicated, but they're really not. You just need to take a moment and really watch this video carefully, maybe even watch it again if something isn't clear to you, and also read that article I mentioned earlier, which thoroughly shows you how to set up a situation like this. Take your time and don't rush the process. I will also be writing another article that will include some additional useful commands you can use in case the swap process gets stuck, because as I mentioned earlier, this is a non-custodial tool, so things can potentially go wrong, especially if you're attempting a submarine swap rather than a standard on-chain swap. If you do choose to perform a submarine swap, it can sometimes happen that the swap gets stuck, and if that situation occurs, there's really no one you can call for help. It's not simply a matter of calling Boltz or any other support line. Instead, you will need to go to the command line interface to fix things and recover the swap yourself, because since it's a non-custodial solution, there's no dedicated support service that can do this kind of thing for you. So you need to be prepared. In my opinion, it's very, very interesting. Swapping is a very important part of managing your own Bitcoin. And it's clearly something that requires a bit of skill, so it just takes a little extra effort. I'm interested to know if everything is clear. Write in the comments if there's anything that's unclear or that you'd like us to explore further. Go ahead, write it down. I read everything and respond to everything. And of course, if you found the video interesting, please like it, share it, and help me in this educational effort that I do for everyone pro bono on this channel. Thank you all for your attention, and I'll see you next time.